welcome. Thanks for joining us on another midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Today on the program, Customs CG humiliates visiting senators in power contest. Court rules EFCC can't probe state accounts without Assembly's nod. And later on, we'll share this with you. NLC directs workers to vote out governors owing salaries. But let's say I'm hanging out with my colleagues, Kolade-Otitoju. I greet you, Kola.
I greet you, Citizen Jones.
Yeah. And I'm meeting Mustafa Ogunshaki for the first time.
As a matter of fact, I've heard so much about you. I don't miss your radio program.
Okay.
So it's really a honor to meet you, sir.
Yeah.
Well, anytime I'm in the car, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Okay. Feel very welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I see you. I have hope in the economy.
In the economy. Just looking at him, so well fed.
Very well fed.
I'm a symbol of hope. That's a good one.
And then, of course, we have in-house James Asupwa. James, I greet you, Asupwa.
Yes.
So we are set. I guess you all are. Let's go now. All right, then, in what appears like pent-up emotions, and if you like, display of frayed nerves, members of the Senate and Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Economic Waste, get that right, Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Economic Waste had a tiff, or if you like, a blow-up at the headquarters of the Nigeria Customs Service in Abuja. Customs Comptroller General Colonel Ahmed Ali, retired, reportedly declaimed the senators, led by its chairman, the embattled Dino Melaye, on correct work etiquette and human relations. An utterly irritated group of senators was not amused and consequently walked out on the Customs CG. What is it with Customs and the Senate? Jude, let's look at it. Did you see this coming?
I didn't really see it coming, but I'm not surprised.
But let me show you how it played out. Let's share this with you.
I also want to register my displeasure that the Comptroller General of Customs was not downstairs to receive the Senate. This is the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have the seal and the authority of the Nigerian Senate to be here. The Senate President, as I speak, is here. And we have visited other paramilitary service. We visited the prisons, we visited the Nigerian immigration. For me, we feel disrespected that the CG is within the complex and he was in his office, he was not downstairs to receive Nigerian senators. We register our displeasure about this, and if this repeats itself next time, we will take a walk.
With regards to protocol, Customs has its own protocol, immigration has its own protocol. And when we do adopt our protocol in our premises, I think we should be given that leverage. When we do visit the Senate, as chief executives, nobody ever lined up to receive us. Good. And therefore, I don't see any reason why we should not be allowed to practice our own protocol. Our protocol is our protocol. When we have a visitor, there are people who will receive you and bring it to the proper place, and then the chief executive will be asked to see. The need to see the head of the team is always provided. And then that head of team will now go to the city's office for free call discussion. So, my dear distinguished senators, we do not intend to violate for now. Having said that, let me say clearly that we, the Nigerian Customs Service, are servants of the people of this great nation. Some of us accepted this job because we believe in Nigeria. You believe in the sanctity of this constitution. I was in the military. What I can do is stop. And I believe nobody can tell me that I'm not a committed Nigerian. So, having said that, as the chairman of the ad hoc committee, distinguished senators, we are ready. We have allotted all our commands. They'll be there, the books will be open for you. And we'll be glad to use your report at the end of the day to correct what we need to correct, if there's any. So, the Nigerian Customs Service warehouses are waiting for you. Wherever you go, you get the support of our people. All the questions you ask, which we can answer, we will answer. And then at the end of the day, we'll be waiting for your report.
All right, Jide, is it safe at this point to conclude that Senator Melaye, chairman of the ad hoc committee, incensed the CG by insisting he didn't come down to receive them?
In my view, what is safe to say is that the revenge is a meal best served cold, and that the Comptroller General of Customs served a meal of revenge to these senators, and that meal of revenge is just as cold as the nostrils of a dog. They've dealt with this man repeatedly. You see, on a particular day, it came into that the CG, they walked him out. If you remember, they said he should go and wear his uniform. It was at that point, a man who does not have service number, you are saying he should go and wear customs uniform. So it was at that point that he ran to court, because they were going to bring him before them wearing his uniform, as Yayi said in that famous video that went viral. So they had troubled this man repeatedly. You know, they also, because of that his policy that old cars must pay duty, they threatened to sack him. And they accused him of having failed, that because he had failed, he was now looking for different means of shoring up revenue, because you know he didn't meet the target for the previous year. It's this year that eventually surpassed target. So they were taunting him that, oh, because he couldn't meet target, because he failed, he was just looking for various means of shoring up customs revenue. So they threatened to sack him. So, and you know, having been worked out by people a lot younger than him, he came to the conclusion that, especially with the presence of Dino Melaye on that team, remember that video that went viral? It was Dino that got up and said, we must summon the Comptroller General of Customs to come and face the Senate wearing his uniform. So he remembered that face. Even if he does not remember that face for the way he talks on the floor of the Senate, at least he will remember him for the music videos that he comes up with.
Mustafa, by slamming the gavel on the conference table, that was another way of
showing their authority. That's gavel is a symbol of authority. But for me, the outplay of power between the two institutions now, or the representatives of the two institutions, is what gets me worried. They both belong to the central government, where they are supposed to be cooperation. Exposing the sense like this does not portray anything good for the total benefit of not only government, but even for Nigerians. Agreed, the Senate, with all respect, and this goes to show the kind of people we have in office when they get to the office. If executives of some agencies, government agencies, appear before them, there are times that they will keep them waiting 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours.
Humiliating
them
your,
on the floor.
Your choice of words. Humiliating them.
I'm sorry to say that. I mean,
but
when you keep some, when you kill someone, if you give a person at that level of governance, you give a person a 12 o'clock appointment, and you don't attend to that person until 5 p.m. I mean, what do you call that? And a lot of people have stomached this. And like Kolade said, I mean, there was a precedent to what happened this time around.
As a soldier, you're abiding your time, waiting to exact revenge?
Like James Hadley said, he said the vulture is a patient bird. And I think that's what has just happened.
James, when a quarrel goes on for too long, it suggests both parties are wrong. Am I right? I don't know if you see the picture I'm painting here.
It depends on the side that you want to take. If you are taking this side,
we're saying
both sides may be rigid, yes. But they don't necessarily have to be wrong.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
All right. Because if you are coming from the Senate perspective, you see it as being an insult to them. Then if you're looking at it from the CG, you just look at it from, okay, fine, the executive perspective. Because like what the CG was saying, or what so many people have been saying is like the CG representing the president, that it doesn't need to go down to go and welcome them.
No, but his argument was, I had my officers, officers to
right
receive
there,
you,
take you to the conference room and all that, So it depends on the divide.
Okay.
It depends on the divide. But
so
be that
both
as
parties are right.
They are right in their own way.
Okay.
The way they think.
I'm still wondering when we find fault with any of the two groups. Judy, but the height came when the senators were blocked for the CG to... That was more like the icing on the cake?
Yes, a kind of cruel icing on the cake. Cruel icing on the cake, just to show that this man has no remorse for what he has done. That's the CG. You see, the CG lied when he said, oh, we have our own protocol. I have friends who work in the customs. Before this man became the customs CG in Agbada, there were customs CGs. The finance minister is the chairman of the board, chairman of the board of customs, and the supervising minister for that government agency. If the finance minister were visiting, the CG of customs will go down to receive the visitor. If a GOC, maybe GOC, or even the chief of army staff, a service chief, was visiting, as they had visited in the past, the CG will go down and receive the visitor. So if even the Senate president was visiting, the CG will go down to receive the Senate president.
The Senate president is number 3.
Yes, it's number 3 man in the country. So it depends on who is visiting now. Yes. So what is said that we have our protocol, we should be allowed to exercise our protocol and all that, is not consistent with reality, with history. With precedent. Because we know that in the past people had visited, the CG will go and visit them. He wanted to serve that meal of revenge on these people. He wanted to serve them. They hit it cold, like the mafia people say.
Unfortunately, no lesson is taught here, Mustafa. No lesson.
I don't see any lesson other than...
In humility
no. Rather, I would rather say they have taught Nigerians a negative lesson. It's a lesson in arrogance of power, if you ask me, on both sides, not on one side now. For the person that is revenging and the... Senator Dino said that he placed the gavel down. He said that they have the authority of the Senate. So it is not them individually.
It's the institution.
It's the institution. So it is the institution that the CG has insulted.
Is maligning the institution.
Exactly.
Yes. Not
exactly.
Dino
And nobody should be allowed to go to that extent in a democracy.
No,
there must be respect.
It's wrong.
It's very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. It is still the military tendency that has played out with Colin Amidali. Still the military tendency. And I think it's not right.
All right. It said that Dino broke the bounds of caution when he attempted to lecture him on etiquette.
Well, that is what he said, you know, but just like we said, Dino he might have his issues with Dino and the Senate, but the thing is, Muhammad Ali would definitely, what he said, to me, if he says that is protocol, that is the protocol, and just like Jide said now, that he has confirmed.
Except if he's the one who created
that new protocol, then
what I don't even know now is that the CG, does he report to the Minister of Finance?
If he reports to
that was the statutory.
That is the statutory, but does he do?
But if you remember, he said that, look, I report to the President. He said it publicly.
Because I think the problem is just around the man himself.
The president has to resolve some of these issues.
Exactly.
No, it's not even the only one. You know, I spoke at length here about the bitter quarrel between Rotimi Amechi and Hadi Sirika. They do not talk to one another. I don't know if they've made up. Yes, because he is supposed to report to Rotimi Amechi, is the junior minister in the ministry. But he continues to see himself as the Minister of Aviation, not Minister of Transport, Minister of State Transport Aviation. So and as long as he continues to seek approvals for his plans, and he can take it directly to the president, and he gets approval for his plans, his schemes, he will not respect the minister. Yes, he will not respect the senior minister. That is what is happening. We've seen situations in which, because Amechi would attend a stakeholders function, Hadi Sirika chose to stay away. So these things, it's not the first time that this kind of thing is happening, but I think that in the Senate, yes, they fought this man, but the fact that Ali has now surpassed his target does not put him in a position of strength to disrespect the institution. We are talking about the institution now. We may have our issues with some of these individuals and some of the actions, but it's the institution that has to be respected. And Ahmed Ali is no longer a soldier. He cannot run the customs the way he ran Kaduna State, that he chased some radical journalists out of town. He can't run that Senate, the customs like that. He has to respect the institution. If they had offended him, humiliated him in the past, for the sake of the Nigerian people, for the sake of transparency, because that's what they claim that they've come to do, he should put the past behind him and just do all that is required of him.
Gentlemen, we talk about belling the cat. There's a bell, there's no cat, if you understand what I mean, Asuko.
Maybe what we should be looking at now should be where they can bring the two of them together, that is the CG and then maybe the Senate itself, to see how they can address whatever grievances they have. But we know that, you know, it's going to be a very hard nut to crack, because the CG, doesn't even respect the finance minister, who he is supposed to report to. You know, so it means that it's the president that will have to do the, you know, belling the cat this time around. It's the president, because he reports directly to the president. So what he will need to do is to bring them, okay, fine, because the customs, they are really giving us the revenue that we need now. So he has to bring the leadership of the Senate, then the president sits with Ali, then they address the issues. If there are personal issues, he should address it. the national interest should come first.
Yes. Saving institutions should be a course. You know, at a workshop for public officers in this country.
Exactly.
Because it's not telling anything good about this country. And the world is watching us.
Exactly. The world is watching. It's about time that Nigeria led the way in the conduct of its affairs. You know, we are no longer a little boy in this practice of democracy. So we should start behaving like a country that has come of age democratically. And we can't show to the world, we can't tell the world that we are coming of age if this kind of actions continue. Because a lot of the customs officers, they are very happy about what happened. They are saying, oh, it's because what they used to give them in the past no longer happens and all that. Things like overnight cargo that they used to. In the past, senators on that committee, on the customs and excise committee, they will pick, you know, what Ahmed Ali does now is, for seized vehicles, seized bags of rice, it will be auctioned in a transparent manner. Then all those overnight cargo, like look, you have cargo that you didn't clear after the stipulated time, is up for auction. It still ensures that the auction is done online and is transparent. In the past, people in the Senate Committee on Customs, they will first cherry pick the finest, you know, of those items. They could be exotic cars and all that, before the rest will now be auctioned. So now, if you are a member of the Senate Committee on Customs, the pond is dry now. The pond has no fish now. If you you cast your net into the pond, you are not going to come out with any fish.
But mud.
Mud, which will really
or maybe crabs.
Mustafa, we can't pass over without touching on this. The original intention was to go there and see to what is called economic waste. So that has not been done. It is still there.
That is the risk you take when personalities find themselves at the detriment of the national interest, which my brother here, Azuko, mentioned. Believe me sincerely, if you ask me, both sides should learn to put national interests first. As far as I'm concerned, with all respect, I think it is very childish to be fighting personal wars at that level that God has placed them today. And I think this even bespeaks of the attitude of Mr. President in this kind of matter. Now, with what has happened now, the Senate will wait for their own pound of flesh. They wait for their own time.
No, they are doing it now to the president.
Yeah, and they are going to attack the president.
They are not confirming.
They are going to attack the president because if the president keeps quiet, well, one of his officers insulted that institution, they're not going to take it like this. So for how long are we going to continue like this? I think, with all respect to Mr. President, he needs to call some of his people to order. This is a democracy. We are no longer under a military. People must respect the law. They must respect the rules. It does not matter whether you are a former military officer or you are a former Air Force officer. It doesn't matter. Once you are in office, don't give people the impression that you are above your seniors, that you cannot take authority. I mean, you cannot take orders.
Subordinate yourself.
You can't subordinate it is very, very wrong. It is very wrong.
We don't need a national workshop on these things.
No, we don't.
These are basic things that even children in primary schools should know.
So we're not talking about boys or girls in secondary schools.
No.
These are elected officials and appointed officials.
No, my biggest concern is that the president's plans can effectively be truncated by a National Assembly that is very, very combative and unfriendly to the president. As we speak now, you know, Senator Saraki said last week that, look, our decision to stop confirming appointees of the president remains. So that decision remains. That's not been vacated. So that was why the MPC meeting that was supposed to hold couldn't hold, because they couldn't form a quorum. New appointees to the MPC were not confirmed by the Senate. And it goes on and on and on. Even the at the NDDC board, some of the nominees of some states are waiting confirmation. The Senate is refusing to work.
Before this break, Asokwa, can we look at this? None of the senators nor the CG and his colleagues can sleep on a burning roof, under a burning roof.
Definitely.
So it's not about the Senate turning down Mr. President's nominees for confirmation and all that. It's about the country.
Exactly.
I hope.
Exactly. I think that is where the president will have to, wade in, because so many things is just going to be on standstill, and we have just less than 10 months or thereabout, or a year plus to elections, and the president will have to find a way to make sure that this matter is settled. His boys think the way he's thinking, which is to make sure that the economy bounces back, and then people begin to feel him as being the president.
That's it. Okay, then, let the debate continue. It doesn't matter what side of the divide you find yourself, but I feel constrained to share a line from the quotes, many quotes of the father of modern India. He said, that's Mahatma Gandhi. He said, the day, let me get it right, the day the power of love overrules the love of power, the world will know peace. I couldn't agree more. Let's take this break. We'll be back. All right, then, welcome back. Let's share the next topic with you. One prime duty of the judiciary is to interpret the law. The Anti-Graft Agency of Government, that is the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, got a bloody nose in Ekiti State when it attempted to pry into the finances of Ekiti State without any report of indictment from the State Assembly. Justice Taiwo of the Federal High Court in Ado-Ekiti delivered the relieving verdict on Tuesday. Not impressed at all, the EFCC, according to its image maker, Wilson Uwojaren, would study the judgment before heading for the appeal court. The appeal court is the next bus stop for the EFCC.
Yes.
After a bloody nose like this.
Yes, sir. I find it a little curious because the judge is saying, I can't see how the statutory functions of EFCC can extend to a state in a federation under the guise of the extent that the 8 to 18 defendant banks will be directed to submit bank details. The EFCC can't be said to have just the power to fight corruption at the federal level alone. I do not think that's the case. Now, if you are saying that state assemblies must be the ones to even invite the EFCC to come and investigate, what if you have a pliable House of Assembly, an House of Assembly that is in the pocket of the governor, and what we are talking about is corruption?
Judy, in 18 years, I don't remember, except the one that was induced, yes. I don't remember a state assembly going for the governor's
Jugula.
Nasarawa State, 3-4 years ago, the House was dominated by PDP members. They impeached the governor, but the chief judge, the panel that the chief judge constituted, returned a verdict of not guilty, and that was the end of the thing.
This was, even as the supposed crimes or sins were not investigated.
Whether they are investigated or not, whether the governor was guilty or not, the chief judge has the power to set up an independent panel to look at the crimes that the assembly, claims that the governor committed. If they return a verdict of not guilty, that is the end.
No appeal.
That is the end. That is the end. So, because more than 90% of the members of the Nasarawa Assembly were PDP members, and the governor was from the CPC. So they thought this was an opportunity to kick him away, but they couldn't. It also happened in the case of Fayose in 2006.
Yes.
The chief judge of the state was loyal to Fayose. So the moment they knew that chief judge would set up a panel that would not... Yes. They knew that chief judge would not give a judgment, would not give a verdict that would favor them. So what the assembly did was to suspend the judge. Meanwhile, in a situation of separation of powers, you do not have the power as the House to suspend the judge. So at that time, the chief judge of the Federation, Alpha Begori, said, look, what they did was wrong, that they had no power to suspend the CJ. But they went ahead. Fayose was impeached by and a new panel set up by the acting CJ, who eventually was punished by the NJC, ratified the impeachment. But today, Fayose's impeachment is not known to Nigerian laws. The Supreme Court ruled that impeachment was a nullity because the panel that sat over it was illegal, based on the fact that the judge was wrongfully suspended.
And even sadly, as a matter of fact, this issue, this matter you just mentioned, sadly led to the end of the career of both judges.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I remember that. I remember that one was suspended.
What is the name of the other one now? It's a very brilliant man.
The one who was used by the used by the House was eventually sent packing by the NJC.
And that's a word we must hold on to.
Yes,
and they have been used in the past. So many infractions have gone unnoticed. Some you feel you are helpless, you can't do anything about it. But let's look at the EFCC in the whole thing. Don't you think it is time the EFCC reinvented itself vis-a-vis going about, fighting corruption head on?
That's the statutory responsibility.
No, to go about it the way they want?
No. But what is playing out here is beyond that, really. Nigeria seems to want to practice unitary system in a federal arrangement, and both usually comes into conflict with each other. I can give you an example. It is the federal government that pays judges in Nigeria, that controls judges in Nigeria, whether in state or federal. But state high court judges are supposed to serve in states, to be loyal to the state. But if you now have the federal that pays the piper, how does, who should their loyalty be to? That's where the problem is. The same thing, exactly, the same thing is what is playing out now. This court has not said that EFCC does not have the power to prosecute individuals or investigate, even companies. They have the power. But when it comes to relationship between states, in a system we have separation of powers, then there is a problem. You cannot do this until you go through this procedure.
Which is what I meant. Maybe I didn't quite break it down, Mustafa.
Yes,
Justice Taiwo said specifically to the EFCC, sections 128 and 129 will not support what you're doing. The EFCC is supposed to have lawyers who would advise them. That's what I meant by reinventing itself.
Unfortunately,
so that it does not win some and lose some.
EFCC has lawyers. It is the level of preparations that I think they should look at. They have some very brilliant lawyers. This Rotimi Jacobs is a private lawyer that has been working
overwhelmed.
But there are other younger ones that have come into. But the kind of cases that the EFCC handles, one would have expected them to have more lawyers than that is playing out now. And in any case, it's an investigative and a prosecuting organization.
Yeah.
And in South Africa, for instance, we have the Scorpions. And our guys go to South Africa.
Equivalent
of EFCC.
Okay.
And what you find out is that on that ground, these guys do their investigations, they collect all that. Even you that they are investigating, you may not even know until they are able to get their facts right. They may just come to court 1, 2, 3 count charges, but with those, they'll be able to get they will be able to get the court to agree with them.
Yeah.
But here, you will see our EFCC filing 150 count charges, 40 count charges that they cannot sustain and losing no, and they cannot sustain in court. That they cannot sustain in court, rather than looking for just one. Even if you want, if you already you know that you have your own facts concerning a particular person, you can even look at the area of tax. Does it? I mean, many criminals will block every loophole.
Yeah.
Your duty is to look at that weak link, you know, through which you can be able to nail.
Exploit it.
Coming to courts with several charges is not going to assist, and that's what is playing out now.
James, still with the EFCC, it might have a good case. In the past, experience is telling us it had good cases, but lost them because of presentation.
Exactly. You know, that is the problem with EFCC, this present EFCC. If you look at most of their cases, they investigate, and then the next thing, they bring it to the media, we celebrate. Then after celebrating, we now get to where the prosecution comes in.
Media trials.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
you know, then the next thing is, okay, let's get to the court. Then it will now take like just one particular, you know, issue, maybe where the defendant, the defense counsel has seen that, you know, that loophole where the other lawyer, the EFCC lawyer, did not see. And then the next thing, the judge will strike the case out. And that has been happening on and on and on. You know, if you look at even from the case between the federal government and even this Saraki's case,
yeah,
the number of charges that we have brought, and so many. So eventually, you just find out that things like one thing or the other will just come. And
in
the
this particular
EFCC
matter,
will
sir,
lose the case.
this is the second time the Federal High Court is making such pronouncement. It's not the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. Justice Ibrahim Buba, sometimes back, maybe 2007 or thereabout, in the case against Attorney General of Rivers State, made a similar pronouncement. I think EFCC will do well now to test the judgment at the appellate courts, and at least will be a local classical.
And after the appeal court, that is the end. You know, so it means no, the EFCC or even any
how
agency.
Do you mean the end? If the EFCC loses at the appeal
court,
it's good night to the case.
Well, what else do they want to do? They will have to go to the Supreme Court. If they go to the Supreme Court, then
it's not a final court.
I
think that if you look at what happened in Attorney General Ondo versus Attorney General of the Federation, the constitutionality of the EFCC and the EFCC Act itself,
ICPC,
the EFCC Act as a federal law was the issue. And the court ruled that the fact that the EFCC Act is a federal law means that it covers the field. Okay. So my suspicion is that if the EFCC will appeal, this judgment will not stand at the level of appeal, because the EFCC Act is a federal law, which means that it can operate beyond.
As a matter of fact,
let me
bring to your notice. Even this morning, a federal high court in Lagos, I think, gave a judgment against a Lagos State civil servant. Proceeds of crime was met with about 28.5 million naira, properties and land properties all over. The court confided to the federal government, and that the federal government should now look for modality to send the properties back
to
Lagos State. That is this morning at the Federal High Court. I mean, I don't really have all the details now. I will have been able to give it to you. But what is important for me is that, yes, you are doing a very good job, but follow the normal procedure. Then this idea of always following petitions. People write petitions without investigating petitions. Somebody did a petition, and on that basis, you arrest a person. If you had already done your investigations, at least you will have
a context on it,
and you just keep the person in detention. It's barbaric.
Oh, we've always talked about that, but you see, I'm worried about this kind of judgment, because if you are saying that state assemblies are the ones that can, because they do oversight on the executive and the finances and all that.
As a provision of the 1999 Constitution,
yes,
as amended. Yeah.
Yes. Now, the thing is, yes, we have separation of powers, but no portion of the Constitution says that, in this case, the House of Assembly must have the final say on matters like probing or investigating the executive, how the executive spends money and all that. There's nowhere that is written. That is why when you bounce the EFCC Act against the provisions of the Constitution, I don't think this judgment can stand. I don't think this judgment.
That's why I said that you have to test it on appeal.
Yeah, let us
test it on appeal.
Because the EFCC Act is a federal law. So you cannot now, because it's a federal law, you can't say that in the execution of, in the exercise of its duties, that the EFCC cannot go to states to fight corruption.
That's not my understanding. That's not my understanding of this judgment.
No,
my own understanding is...
What is the implication of it?
What's the implication of it?
Let's hear
please.
Okay, go on.
My own understanding is that, okay, you, as I said here, because I've always made it clear, individuals, corporate organizations, yes. But when it comes to states, because...
State governments.
When it comes to state governments, because of separation of powers, there's a procedure you have to follow. If, for instance, the State Auditor General or Accountant General, as the case may be, has forwarded a report to the House of Assembly.
Okay.
The House of Assembly can take a decision on that. You can act on the basis of the decision of the House of Assembly to now do your prosecution.
We are
that is what the law is saying.
We are saying that.
That's what the law is saying.
We are saying that a house that is in the pocket of the governor will never generate that kind of report.
There is not the
fault of the courts. Then what we are saying is that if the EFCC is an independent anti-corruption body, for example, why shouldn't it be able to say, okay, we heard that money is being stolen in this state, let's go and investigate. We are now saying that only the state, look at even the first paragraph of the story, that it lacks the power to probe state finances. Without a report of an indictment from state houses of assembly. You will wait till eternity to see state assemblies indict their governors. Governors are even the ones picking speakers.
My brother.
They are the ones picking speakers.
That is why, again,
assembly.
This is why we have a fundamental problem again about our laws on our hands. The court is blind to the loyalty or disloyalty of the House of Assembly to any governor. As far as the court is concerned, the law is concerned, the assembly, the House of Assembly or the National Assembly, as the case may be, they have their own statutory functions and obligations that they have to follow. And that's what the law will follow.
Let me quickly take Ugochukwu from Abia. Ugo, welcome. Welcome, Ugo. Are we in business? Ugo, are we in business?
Good morning, sir. Good evening, sir.
All right. Yeah, so let's
So I think that is where we have to get our laws right and get our politics right.
I wish I had provisions of the law or laws establishing the EFCC. So you see, maybe
I've referred to a case that was already decided.
The Ondo State case.
I've referred to a case. And then when we are talking about, hold on a bit, when we are talking about separation of power, it is in respect of arms of government, not tiers of government. That's what the Constitution says.
Okay.
the separation of powers is on
the
arms of government.
the executive,
judiciary,
and
the legislature. It's not tiers of government that we are talking about now.
Local, state, and
yes.
federal. Okay.
So in this,
things. I'm
telling you, God will spare our lives if the EFCC proceeds with this case, because if they cannot, if this judgment stands, if the EFCC does not get the appeal court to vacate this judgment, if this judgment stands, we should forget about anti-corruption at the state level.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the implication. I'm worried about the implication. And I do not think that this judgment will stand. We've seen even more ridiculous judgments from our
Justice Buba's Justice Buba's initial judgment was in 2007. I wonder why EFCC had not taken it up since that time.
Yeah.
If they had taken it up, in the case of Rivers State, perhaps we would have a clear-cut definition now.
This one will push them now. This one will push them to take.
This is the second time we are having a similar issue. So
lawmaking is a very serious business, especially given a peculiar country like ours. You don't think the National Assembly should go back to the drawing board, James?
Yeah, well, anyway,
tinker with the laws.
If they want to tinker with the laws, then it means it depends on where they are trying to think.
Because the gray areas.
Because if you look at it, the National Assembly that we have, the present National, any law that they want to touch or amend is for their own benefit. They don't touch laws that will benefit everybody. So it means that if this judgment stands, if this judgment stands, the House of Assembly that is corrupt, it means the EFCC cannot even go there.
No, they can't go there. They will be working with the executive at the state level.
Yes, exactly. In their so-called oversight function, that is where they will be making money.
The kind of expose that led to the removal of people like Alamesia and the rest of them.
It won't happen.
It will never happen.
That is why I said we must get that.
So let me take Kabiru. He's waiting patiently in Katsina. Kabiru, welcome. Kabiru, are we in business? Yeah, welcome.
How, sir?
Let's go.
How are you?
I'm great, you, sir, Mr. John and Mr. Babajide.
Okay.
I'm calling you from Daraka.
Okay, then. Go on.
Daraka, sir, I'm going back to the Controller General matter, please, sir. Hello?
Go on,
give 30 seconds. Let's go.
On.
Sir, I want you to go back to Controller General matter, sir. Hello?
If you can do so in 30 seconds, go on. All right. Yeah, we must draw this to a close. But then, Mustafa, again, I said the National Assembly could go back to the drawing board because we have a motley crowd of lawyers in the two houses. Revered
unfortunately
lawyers.
so. But sir, that is exactly
Deputy
why
Senate
I said
President is a lawyer.
Yes.
Balana, I mean, the majority leader is a lawyer, and several of them.
Minority leader of the Senate
Whether
is
in the
supposed
past
to be a lawyer.
or in the present. Exactly, sir. This is what I mean when I said that we must get our politics right. The kind of National Assembly members or State House of Assembly members that we have today, are they defined in such a way and manner as to suit what the Constitution says they should do? Are they in office looking at the overall interest of their people with the bigger picture? Are they not there because they are representing the interests of a particular person, that is so that they will not be able to get the person impeached or to support his motions and all that stuff? As our lawmakers, whether at the state level or at the federal level, have they risen above personal sentiments? Are they acting in the interest of the people that put them there, the people in the first instance that have collected money when they were voting? So this is still a matter of our politics that is getting the wrong people into office. That is what is playing out. And that's why somebody can come and sing and be doing Ajeku Yanoje and all that. It's still the same thing. We need to reorientate our people, and we need to get people that will be statesmen, that will be able to do the right. Otherwise, this chain will continue. Other people will come and they will not be able to do anything.
Yeah, James,
That's the tall order.
A cynic once said a giant notice board should be erected somewhere, you know, at a border post or crossing. Shut down. Repair works underway.
Yeah, exactly. There's still a lot to be done, a lot, especially starting with us, the people. The caliber of people that we need to vote, not as president, but as representatives of the national and as well as the state assembly. People, most times we talk about president, the president, the president, but it is the people that are making the laws for us that are very, very important.
Yeah.
So this time, I think by next year, Nigerians should begin to think of who should represent them, because it is from there that we'll begin to have laws that will change our lives. It is from there that we'll begin to have laws that, that will begin to move the country forward. If we say, okay, we want to begin to think, it's only one person that we need to remove or one person that we need to bring, what of the person that will make the laws that would, you know, better our lives?
We are closing your thoughts. Mustafa, how do you close your thoughts here?
Well, I think a lot of Nigerians,
possibly taking it
we have a lot of work in our hands. Our laws would not work until we ourselves want them to work. We make them to work. Otherwise, there will always be people that will twist our laws against the meanings, the interpretation that it's supposed to have. And that is what is playing now across the country.
That's what I see.
Jide, as we go home, I have seen a copy of the American Constitution. It's a pamphlet.
Yes.
I've seen it. I wish I could have
Amendments
a copy.
upon amendments, that's what that's
Yeah, you know, a pamphlet.
And
Ours is almost a booklet.
Yes.
And after 200 years plus, America is still coasting home.
Yes, and we are still tinkering with our constitution at every opportunity.
Yeah.
Because the constitution that we have is not a perfect document. It's at every point you see gray areas, you see items that shouldn't have been inserted into that constitution. A constitution that the military gave you, you know, in a hurry, is not something that you can be excited about. I want to see the constitution amended to remove all of those gray areas. Look at what happened in that Kogi election. If the constitution had made it clear that if the running mate dies just before the end of the electoral exercise, this is what will happen, we would not have found ourselves where we found ourselves. Now, in this case now, we've seen a judge talking about separation of powers in a manner that will allow governors to steal with reckless abandon, because houses of assembly will not do anything. I've never seen a house since the beginning of this political dispensation that invited the FCC to say, hey, come and investigate.
And the courts have not helped matters.
They've not helped matters.
No. Well,
the court cannot give what you don't ask for.
Okay. But you know, laws were made for man. Man was not made for laws.
Exactly.
Let me thank Asukwo James for coming.
Thank you so much.
Mustafa Ogunshaki, we'll see you again. And Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. That's it. Our country, we must keep talking about our country. I guess we have no choice. Let's thank you for being a part of it. But you have a choice of watching this program, a repeat broadcast built for 11 tonight. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now and stay well.